Rank 1, Private. The bus stops at Fort Benning at 4 in the morning, August, Georgia. The doors open, the drill sergeant yells. You jump out, run, stand on the yellow lines painted on the asphalt. There are 60 others just like you. You're 18. Fort Wayne, Indiana. Auto parts warehouse, $13 an hour. Single mother, mortgage since 1988. You took out a student loan, but it only lasted 1 semester and the debt remained. A recruiter at the mall offered you an infantry contract with the right to try out for the Rangers, an elite infantry regiment, after training. A $20,000 bonus, a year and a half of warehouse wages for 1 signature. You signed. 14 weeks of infantry training. Training and specialization in one place, without a break. The first 3 weeks, you are taught to obey. When to eat, when to sleep, when to go, the sergeant's voice decides, and that voice does not stop for 16 hours a day. You eat in 4 minutes. You run before breakfast. They took your phone away on the first night. Your mother will receive a letter in 10 days, written in pencil on a piece of notebook paper. Everything is fine. The 6th week is shooting. 40 targets at different distances, a minimum of 23 hits. You hit 34. The instructor looks at the result, nods, and moves on. In 6 weeks, this is the first time you haven't been yelled at. A nod is worth more than any praise, because praise doesn't exist here. Week 12. 3 days in the field without proper sleep. You dig a position in the clay, spend the night in it in wet clothes, and by morning you can't feel your toes. October in Georgia is colder than you expected. At graduation, your mother cries. You stand in line and think not about her, but about the fact that in 2 weeks, airborne school begins, and then selection for the Rangers. Everything that has happened so far does not count. Rank 2, Specialist. Airborne school. 3 weeks in the same place, in Benning. 5 jumps from a military transport plane, and you get your paratrooper wings. The first jump isn't about the height. It's that second at the door, with 20 people behind you, and holding back is scarier than stepping into the void. You step. A jerk. A canopy. Silence. The second time is easier. By the 5th time, it's a habit. Then 8 weeks of selection for the Ranger Regiment. 120 people start, about 40 finish. Those who left did so of their own accord. They approached the instructor and said, "That's it." No one kicks anyone out. You're just given the opportunity to leave every day, and every day someone takes advantage of it. You didn't leave. Not out of heroism, out of arithmetic. 13 an hour in the warehouse, or the insignia of a unit from which people move up. You get a beige beret. You're 19. Fort Benning, 3rd Battalion. Rangers train 6 days a week. Running, shooting, tactics, equipment maintenance. Sunday is laundry and sleep. 8 months later, first deployment. Afghanistan. The plane lands at night, and the first thing you notice is the smell. Dust, burnt kerosene from generators, and something else, something sweet, which you can't quite explain. The first raid is in a week. The helicopter drops you off at a village at 2 in the morning. You run to the clay wall and take up your position. The seniors work inside, you work outside. You stand in the dark, looking through your sights at an empty field, and hear in your earpiece, "Target acquired." 11 minutes. You fly back in silence. You didn't fire a single shot. You haven't slept for 30 hours. You feel both disappointment and relief, and you can't tell which is stronger. 17 sorties in 3 months. You fired twice, and both times you're not sure if you hit anything. None of your people were wounded. They'll say later that it was a good mission. Good means everyone came back. Rank 3, Sergeant. 2nd deployment, Iraq. You are 21, you are the commander of a fire team, 4 people. You tell them where to move, when to shoot, and when not to shoot. Not shooting is more difficult. Here, the Rangers work like a conveyor belt. Takeoff, capture, return, debrief, sleep, takeoff. Overnight, sometimes every night. You learn to sleep sitting in a helicopter, fully armed, with your weapon between your knees. You learn to eat when you're not hungry, because the next opportunity may not be for 12 hours. In the 3rd week, a guy from the neighboring group, You knew his last name, knew he was from Ohio, stood in line with him for breakfast every morning, gets hit by shrapnel as he leaves the building. He was alive when they loaded him into the helicopter. He died in a hospital in Germany 2 days later. You found out from an email while sitting in the mess hall. You finished reading it, went outside, and ran 5 miles. Not because it helps, but because you didn't know what else to do with yourself. This tour, more than 70 sorties. You shoot more often. You see things you won't tell your mother on the phone. You won't talk about them at all. Not because they're secret, but because there are no words for them at home. After you return, you are sent to a leadership training course, a 2-month school in the mountains of Georgia and the swamps of Florida, where you are fed dry rations once or twice a day and work 20 hours a day. You lose 11 kilograms. In the mountain phase, you are so hungry that when you pass a trash can near a residential building, you think about what might be in it. You don't go through it, but you think about it. You walk on by. You are 22, and you are no longer at the bottom. And on the information board in Benning, there is a sheet of paper printed in regular font. No emblem, no logo. Recruitment for a unit that describes itself as a task force for missions requiring rapid response and the precise application of specialized skills. Everyone in the regiment knows what that means. No one says the name out loud. Rank 4, Staff Sergeant. You are 25, 6 years in the regiment, 4 deployments, squad leader, 9 men. You could have stayed. Life here is good, fast, concrete, understandable. But you saw them, the others, on joint operations. Bearded, in civilian clothes, with unmarked weapons. They arrived quietly, did their job, and left. The Rangers held the outer ring, blocking the area, controlling the approaches. They worked inside. You never heard any of them raise their voices. You never saw any fuss. You submit an application. Camp Dawson, West Virginia, October. Morgantown Airport. In the terminal, there are 24 men of roughly the same type. Short haircuts, unassuming clothes, sports bags. Everyone understands why they are here. No one discusses it. A minibus takes you 100 miles along mountain roads. Camp Dawson is a National Guard base, but one sector is fenced off separately. It has its own rules. More than 200 candidates from all over the Army. Rangers, Special Forces, people from regular combat units. All in perfect physical shape. Half of them will leave in a week. The first day is an entrance test. Push-ups, sit-ups, running, 100-meter swim in uniform. Those who fail will be on the bus in the morning. Next, forced marches. Longer and harder every day. Backpack, 18 kilograms, then 20. You walk alone. Talking to others is not allowed. You are given a point on the map and a compass. At the destination, the next point. They don't say how many there are in total. Whether you made it or not, they don't say. The instructors are silent. For 3 weeks, you are evaluated by people who don't say a word of assessment. The last day is a long walk. 64 kilometers through the mountains, a 20-kilogram backpack. They don't announce the time. They don't show the route. You walk from point to point. At each one, there is an instructor with a tablet who silently writes something down and gives you the next coordinates. At the 18th hour, you are walking and not quite here. Your legs are moving, your eyes are open, but the trail repeats itself, and you are not sure that you did not pass this fork half an hour ago. You check your compass. You keep going. Of the more than 221 people made it to the end. Then there is the commission. The unit commander, psychologists, instructors. An hour and a half of questions, not about your physical abilities, but about you. Why do you think you make decisions? What do you feel when you're so tired that it's hard to think? One candidate, the fastest on the route, physically flawless, didn't pass the commission. They didn't explain why. The body is the ticket in. The decision is made based on what's behind it. You're in. Rank 5, First Class Sergeant. 6 months of operator training in the closed section of Fort Bragg, now Fort Liberty, North Carolina. Of the 21 who passed the selection process, 12 will make it to the end. First up is shooting. You were the best shot in your battalion. Here, you're average. Here, You don't shoot at targets on a shooting range, but at silhouettes in rooms with live people, instructors. At first, the room is empty. Then one person and two cardboard silhouettes appear. Then two people and three silhouettes. Then four people and two silhouettes, and you have less than a second to decide who to shoot. You train until it becomes a reflex, until your hands do the work before you have time to think. Then, explosives and assault. You learn how to break down doors, with explosives, tools, a battering ram, and that the wrong choice costs seconds, and seconds here cost lives. Then, driving. You wreck 3 cars in a week, and that's normal. It's part of the program. Then, reconnaissance, surveillance, evading surveillance, working with hiding places. These skills are taught by people who are not from the army, and you don't ask where they are from. The final exercise combines everything. Several days without sleep, real city blocks, instructors playing the roles of hostages. If you make it to the end, you are an operator. Fort Bragg, restricted area. You no longer wear a uniform outside the base. Your hair and beard can be any length. You go to work in jeans and a t-shirt. Your neighbors think you work in some government office. If they ask, you say something about logistics. You are an operator in an assault team, 5 or 6 people. 4 teams in a unit, 3 units in a squadron, 4 squadrons in a detachment. You fly where the army doesn't fly, do what the army doesn't talk about, and return to your wife, who knows just enough not to ask questions. You're sent on your first mission after 3 months, the Middle East. You'll never say exactly where. Your team works at night. The targets are specific people. Each one has a name, a photo, habits, routes. You know what time they have dinner, how many times a week they fuck their wives, what they drink in the evening. Then you break into their house at 2 in the morning. Sometimes they surrender alive. Sometimes they don't. You earn about $120,000 a year with bonuses for danger, jumping, and combat zones. More than any of your classmates in Fort Wayne. Rank 6, Master Sergeant. You're 30, 12 years in the Army, 6 of them in the unit. You're the team commander, 5 operators under your command. You still go on raids when necessary, but now you're more often the one who plans them. Where to go, how many people, and in what order. Planning an operation can take 2 hours, or it can take 3 weeks. Satellite images, intercepted communications, intelligence data, drone footage. You sit in a windowless room and piece together a picture from all of this. The house, the entrances and exits, the target's schedule. What could go wrong? Then you lead your team, and the list of things that could go wrong never matches what actually goes wrong. You get promoted after an operation you'll never talk about. Extracting a hostage in a country you won't name. 9 minutes of work, 11 days of preparation. The hostage is alive, all your people are safe. You get a medal you can't wear on your uniform and a rank that only those with clearance can see. You're home for a total of 3 months a year. You have a daughter, she's 4. She asks on Friday if you can go to the park on Sunday, and you can't say yes because you don't know where you'll be on Sunday. Your wife doesn't complain. She knew who she was marrying. But every time your daughter asks, "Is Daddy coming?" and your wife replies, "We'll see," that "we'll see" sounds harder and harder. Rank 7, Sergeant Major. You're 35, 17 years in the Army. You're the senior sergeant of the unit, the commander's right-hand man. You have more than 20 operators under you. The commander is an officer, a captain, or a major. He makes the decisions. You make sure those decisions don't cost any of your men their lives. You haven't been just a soldier for a long time. You're the one who knows that coal works better in urban areas and Reese in open terrain, that Davis is on his 3rd tour in a row and will never say he's exhausted because that's not what they say here. But you can see it in the way he packs his gear before going out, too slowly, too carefully, like a man trying to control the only thing that can still be controlled. You send him to the rear for 2 weeks. He's angry. 6 months from now, he'll thank you, and rightly so. You rarely take part in assaults yourself anymore. You sit in the operations center and listen to the radio. The voices of the people you trained. We're in. Clear. Target acquired. And sometimes, a second of silence on the air, after which you stop breathing until you hear the next voice. You've lost people. Not many. The squad takes care of its own. But you remember each one as if it happened yesterday. You're 35, and you're standing in the kitchen at 4 in the morning because sleep won't come. The coffee maker is running. Outside the window is Fayetteville, North Carolina. Pine trees, a parking lot, someone's pickup truck. The house you're paying the mortgage on. Your daughter is 7, she's asleep upstairs. Your wife is asleep, or pretending to be. In 2 hours, you'll drive to the base. Your phone is lying face down on the table. You learned long ago not to look at it. You haven't learned not to hear it, even when it's silent.